all the time to go upstairs and get it? I'm not a machine.
Is he playing? He's playing Introduction and Serotonin.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everybody had a wonderful break last week, and we're all back in action today. We're very happy and honored to have with us today Robert Chen. Mr. Chen is the Concertmaster of the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, and those who know me know what I think about the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. I'm a big fan, and a big fan of his. We have two people to perform for you today. Our first performer is Maxwell Brown. Max is a student of Timothy Schwartz and Brian Lewis. And Max is playing the introduction in Tarantella by Sarasate. Max?
Heifetz made his debut, and there were all these people in the audience, and one of the violinists said, "It's a little hot in here, isn't it?" And his friend next to him, the pianist, said, "Not for pianists." Anyway, great. I love the fluidity with which you approach the violin. It's a facility. You have such wonderful facility, and coordination. Terrific. All the fun bowings you do, like you're having fun. It's great. I love it.
Thank you.
Can you just try the opening for me again? I just wanted to think about how to be a little more expressive. Try vibrating, like the first note, and then every note after that. Good. Right. You vibrated the first note. Yeah. How about the second one? So let's just play it once by yourself. That's nice. When you vibrate, do you think, what are you focusing on?
Well, like I'm focusing on how big the vibrato is.
Okay, I noticed that, and there are certain fingers you don't like to vibrate. It's not new. I mean, it's something that all violinists have a habit of doing. You play along, all of a sudden, like one note, there's no vibrato at all. So I want you to think about keeping the vibrato continuous through each note. Yeah. Just try by yourself again, and do it a little slower. Just try to connect the vibrato. Yeah? Good. Very, very beautiful. Now, as you change finger, don't think about like stopping the motion of the hand. Think of the motion continuing, so that the vibrato is not, finger to finger, but that it's just the motion in the hand, and then you just pick up the finger and you put down the next one, and it's moving. Yeah. Go on. Then go on. Keep going. Good. So, one other thing, when you play this note, now when you have a rest, it seems like you cut the note short before it. So it sounds like you're talking, and all of a sudden you have to breathe, so you swallow the last syllable. And I want you to think about so that you breathe, but you don't go yeah, because it sounds like somebody put the hand over your mouth. Okay. So let's try from here. Well, let's try from the beginning again with the piano. Remember. I think that's much more expressive, and I think it's just a matter of like hearing it a certain way and remembering to do it, because it can be so expressive like that. Yeah. That's really the only thing I have to say. You know, in the tarantella, you know, there are certain places where you can take a little time just for dramatic emphasis. Yeah? Let's see, where is that? Oh, here, yeah. Here, you're kind of running through this, which is fine, because it's supposed to be showy, right? But when you get to the arco, bum, 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 yo, just take a little time to get set so that you kind of telegraph to the audience, oh, there's something new that's coming. But if you just play it exactly in time, which is fine, you lose that sort of tension. Yeah. So let's do from. Let's do from here. That's it. Okay? Yeah. Try it again. I think the first left hand hits, you don't have to hurry. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah? Good. That's good. Yeah, that makes this much more emphatic. Now, I have a question about
off the string.
Okay. Can you try something for me? Try doing it more towards the upper half of the bow. And really keep the bow on the string. Yeah? Good, good. That gives me a little clearer rhythm. And as you crescendo go through that repeated figure, you can move the bow to the middle. You can start out, towards the tip of the bow with pressure, and then you move to the middle of the bow and you can come off the string. Yeah. This way, you're kind of creating a different energy, So if you're playing always in the same part of the bow, the energy stays relatively the same, and so it feels like it doesn't change. But if you can somehow change where you do things in the bow, it feels like you're moving, even if you're not. Yeah? Okay. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay, let's go on. So, you use the opportunity to get to the upper half of the bow, and then you just gradually move to the middle. Yeah? And you'll create a different feeling this way. So that instead of jumping in place like this, it's like you're jumping and you're moving, and you're going somewhere. You're giving yourself a physical direction, which then gives the music direction. Okay? Good. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, so I'm actually playing this with like a local orchestra.
Oh,
tonight,
yeah.
So I was just wondering if you had any tips about how I could change this to more suited.
Well, see, you have your pianist who is very, very kind and very, she stays right with you, right? When you play with an orchestra, especially an orchestra that's not particularly all professional, right? And you have many people playing. Generally what happens is that they have trouble actually playing together. Now, your job as soloists when you go into that situation is to play in a way that is going to be very easy for them to follow, right? So, those things that I was talking about, like just like the pizzicati and stuff. They're not playing there, right? But you want to play in a way that they can actually follow what you're doing. Yeah? So, first of all, play very loudly. That's always a rule of thumb when you're playing with an orchestra, because you're playing against a lot of people. You play with a lot of energy, which you are. And just make sure that you take a tempo. Where they can actually stay with you, because and still sound like you're playing in an energetic fashion, right? Because oftentimes you feel like you have to slow down to wait for the orchestra. You have to make some concessions. Okay? Does that sound okay to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's just the nature of the piece. It's very rare that you get a soloist who's just going full out.
Yeah.
You have to right there with them. Yeah. So maybe take the edge off a little bit. And practice with the metronome. Oh God. Well, I hate. Yeah, it's a great tool. You know, I'm not saying you have to play like you're in a box, but it's very helpful to know, like, okay, this part of it I'm leaning ahead. This part of it I'm getting behind, because then you can say, all right, this, you know, I want to go a little forward here, and you can let the conductor know. You have a conversation with the conductor. You know, when you're rehearsing, you say, "Maestro, could you help me here? Could you help me here? I need a little time, or could you help me here? I want to go forward here." And hopefully the maestro will start beating faster, or, you know, or maybe you'll say, "Oh, okay, no, we're going one." You know, okay. So those are just things that to think about. You know, like tempos, and being very steady and easy to follow, and above all, play loud. Okay, great. Oh, it's so much easier to give a class without my violin.
Our next performer is Noelle Streuber-Eden. Noelle is a student of Guillaume Combet, and she will be playing Ravel's Sagan.
Oh my. Well, okay. I'm always fascinated when I go back to a piece that I studied when I was younger. I pull the music out, and I can hardly see what's on the page. All I see are markings and comments, and you know. So yeah, it reminds me of that. You know, the beautiful thing about this is that you can push a button and it all disappears. But you know, it's nice. It's really nice to, at least as you get older, you'll come back to it. And be like, oh, I remember when when I was doing that, or my teacher told me to do this, or gee, that was a stupid thing that I wrote in the music. But I'm sure all of it helps you. Okay, let's go. Tzigana. Talking about the gypsies, right? Zigeuners, Zigeunerweisen. It's the same idea. Okay, so I mean, those of you who've been to Europe, especially, well, actually, pretty much all the time. Like if you go to like a big tourist city, you'll see these Romanis or gypsies, they call them, roaming the streets. They're people without a home. Yeah. And there are but you wouldn't say that they're homeless exactly, you know. They're wanderers. You know, they go from place to place, and they have a very special culture all their own. And I think when you play this piece, it can be much more dramatic in the sense that, like you often see them as panhandlers on the street, and they're really good at it. They're like actors, They sit there on the ground and they put out their little dish and they have the little kids around them, and then some of them just they prostrate on the street. They don't move, nothing. They're just there waiting for somebody to drop the coin into their hat or bowl. And when you hear like real gypsy music, it's wild. It's wild. It's not calculated or measured. The rhythms are so complicated that you can't really notate it, but it's there. It's there. And this is just another attempt from like a long line of people trying to sort of imitate their culture and their voice. If you've ever been to like a city like Budapest, you see them. They come up to you when you're eating outside. Anyway, they're fascinating. And their culture goes back a long, long, long time. So, how do you make it more dramatic and more exaggerated and more flamboyant? And so I think what you have to think about is like everything more. It's like instead of a large screen TV, let's say 85-inch television. Okay, that's pretty big, right? Right. I want you to think about IMAX. I want you to think more, much more exaggerated, much more, so that the gestures are very clear. Okay? Now, how do you do that?
I think it's just like a lot of contrast, make the fourth hits before the continuous begin.
Uh-huh.
Just like variation in the color.
Good. So let's try it with your cadenza from the beginning. Good. Now, it says forte. Okay, and sustain, right? Sustain. There's no diminuendo. This is just yeah. That's it. Okay. So, how do you keep your sound?
Don't vary the contact point
Anything else?
Same person.
Okay, try. Okay, now, what happens? So like about here in the bow.
It's harder to get that close.
Okay. So, how do you sustain the sound? Yeah, I think you can think about balance. Like you put the bow on the string, and when you start here, the balance is different than it would be here, right? Like in order to keep the same pressure, what do you have to do? So, okay, so it's just a minute thing where you're, you start here, and this is the heaviest part of the bow, right? So you don't have to do very much here. But as you draw the bow, if you think of tilting the bow that way, so that you establish the same contact, the same balance that you had here. Okay? That's it. Go on. Go on. That's the thing. Go on. You feel the difference in the energy, right? So I want you to think about that. Just the approaching the string and slightly different angles, and depending on where you are in the bow. Okay. Now, this then applies to, well, let's go on. Let's go on because it's we don't have much time, and I just want you to start going up on the G string. Okay. Just keep going where you were. Good. Now, as you go up in the violin, you want to come this way? Okay. At a certain point, yes, you have to, because if your arm is not quite long enough, you follow with the violin, right? However, I think you start to do that like pretty early on. So instead of doing that, why don't you think of standing up tall, so that the violin comes and meets the bow. This is another balance. This way and this way, this way and this way. Yeah. Now you lost it. Good. One. Good. Now, as you get to the extremity of the instrument, I want you to think about open. Yeah, open. Not collapsing, but open. Ah, good. All right. So I think we get much more energy in this sound when you explore those explore the balance. Yeah. Is it time to stop?
No. They leave on the switch.
Ah. Okay. Good. All right. So
Too smart for its own good.
so now you get an understanding of what it's like when you're playing on the G string, right? What happens to your arm or your hands when you are thinking about balance?
I think it's like standing up taller and making my right elbow higher.
Always or just sometimes?
I should be doing crunches.
I don't know about always. It's just you just need to make minute adjustments as you draw the bow. Because here is very different from here. Right? So just be mindful of what happens when your bow is in the lower half and your bow is in the upper half. And so it just requires some attention about balance. The balance of the bow on the string. Okay? Now, you should think about this actually throughout the piece on all the other strings. Because what I find is that often the things that don't speak so the things that don't speak so well are because you're not establishing the proper contact, and the contact comes from balancing the bow, actually really balancing the bow on the string. And and it's okay. I think a lot of this you just have to just experiment and use your ears so that you can sort of understand, like, oh, that works, or that sounded kind of crappy. I think I'll try something else, so that you really understand. Instead of just moving the arm back and forth, and you're actually thinking about how things fit together. Balance of what your body has to do when you're here. Let's say, you're not going to be able to reach a G string with your elbow here, right? So you almost have to tilt slightly, yeah? Slightly, I'm saying. Yeah. But, we don't want you to be. We've seen violinists like this. That doesn't work. I can tell you that doesn't work. Yeah. But a little bit goes a long ways, okay? Because you're thinking, okay, I need to have contact, I need to have good weight on the string. And I need the bow to come closer to the bridge. So how do I do that? I use gravity to help me, so that everything's sliding down instead of away, right? That's why Ray does that. But it's kind of to an extreme, right? Good. Now, can I hear the beginning of this? your bow is out of balance, so you're leaning so far over that you touch the A string, and it's and you can actually hear it in the quality of the sound that it wasn't centered. Okay. And D string is one of those strings where it's really difficult to find the correct balance. Okay. Good. One. Good. This is one of those places. It's so clear, but I think you don't have to worry about the two notes being so delineated. You can actually play the D sharp and the E, open E. Yeah, you can play it as if it's, yeah. Just try it. So you can use more bow, because right now you're using very little bow to try to make it so that it's. You're trying to make it so that it's perfect. This is wild, Yeah, much easier, right? Now, these pizzicati. What are you doing there? Okay. What happens in your left hand? Can you do it once by yourself? There's this is a sort of every violinist does this. When you have these slurs, it goes faster than when you're plucking every other string. Okay? So just slow the string crossing down with your left hand and your right hand. Okay? That's it. Yeah. And again, it can be much wilder. Huh? Like you play louder. I mean, that's one way of thinking about it. Yeah, but try it. Good. Does it hurt? Okay, good. Have you developed calluses?
Yes.
Good. I used to get blisters from doing this. Yeah. See, you're supposed to. There's the blues movement from Ravel's Violin Sonata. It's a lot of kind of like this. You also get blisters from that because you're having to strum a lot. Okay. I see this marking here. It says deliberate. It's beat up, better. Okay. You're playing it so perfectly rhythmic. I think what was Mr. Gingle said once. He said it should be like falling down a flight of stairs. You know, like you're not going to hit every step in time. You know, so you can start beat up, you know, you can start beat up, you can start the, yeah, you can start out with this kind of in time and then just accelerate to the bottom, kind of like, you know, physics. Yeah. Yeah. When you go to the A string, yeah, just take care of the A and E and the E and A string. So the re la fa re la yeah. Okay, now what happens coordination-wise when you go to the D string?
I have to like reach over.
You reach over, and what happens to your left hand?
Or shift.
And what happens when you shift?
Or I.
You don't,
Yeah. No, not lose.
You're not actually losing time.
Takes
You-
more time to do.
Yeah, that's it. So when you start to pluck with your right hand, your left hand is actually not there yet. So I want you to think about you see how the right hand is earlier than where you. So go just to the open A and then set. That's it. That's it. Yeah. So, you know, that's the thing about coordination is that sometimes the right hand is, one hand is ahead of the other. Yeah. So you don't get the maximum clarity, and it happens quite a bit later on. Like from 20. Yeah. Can you just play a little bit? Okay. Think about balance again. Yeah. Good. What did you do differently here? Now, what did you do differently? I
Oh,
just-
what did I?
Yeah.
But I was thinking more about the balance, like you said, and not hitting other strings.
And actually, it's not a place that you need to worry about it. You can hit as many strings as you like. The thing is that you just have to keep the bow on the string. But before, the bow started to come off the string because you were trying to, you know, this and that. Just that's it.
Oh.
Okay? I think we may have to stop.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh, no.
And thank you once again to Mr. Robert Chen for being with us today. Thank you to Max and to Noelle for their performance. And thank all of you for supporting them and supporting everything going on. And thank you to Maria and Delora PJ. She made her really work today. So thank you again. Everybody have a great rest of the day. Good rehearsals. We'll see you next week.
May we get a photograph?